Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Data Dispatch. Holy Toledo, we have some breaking news to cover right now as we speak. Just a few hours ago, Palantir Technologies has announced a new huge partnership with Elon Musk's xAI and TWG Global. We're going to be talking about this here in just a few minutes. And on top of that, we also have a post from the Chinese embassy talking about negotiations with the U.S. regarding the tariffs. This is all on top of the FOMC interest rate decision that will be coming out tomorrow and remarks from Powell on the healthiness of the U.S. economy. If all the stars are aligning, we could possibly be seeing a decent amount of buying pressure coming back into the market. If you are a new or returning viewer, hit that like button, subscribe for daily videos. It helps the algorithm, and let's get into the news. Before we talk about Palantir's price action at all, pop it up on the screen here. You can see officially from Palantir's X account saying that they are going to partner with the world's best people and they are going to dominate. Palantir CEO right here in TWG discuss how their new partnership with xAI is actually going to revolutionize AI adoption in the financial services industry. And if we toggle on over here from xAI, specifically from their account, announcing this partnership with TWG to announce this collaboration to remaking how financial services can successfully adopt AI and scale technology. This is a major, major partnership with a full interview down here posted by Palantir themselves. I encourage you guys to go watch it. It's about 10 minutes long. I don't want to take the whole video, just reviewing it. Go watch it, get all the details on your own terms. This is a key catalyst for the company. Where Palantir sits right now is down about 12% after we saw remarkable earnings. Now, remember, earnings and the company does not mean that is, going to be directly correlated to its share price all the time. That's what we're seeing right now. Palantir hit around its all-time highs of 125 and retraced back here with some selling off at about 108. Not necessarily a horrible thing, and Palantir trading at these highs just carries, the risk for downside potential. Where we see it currently in the overnight hours is actually some buying back currently up about another $1 at 110. I think we could continue to see bullishness coming into this. However, what we're seeing in terms of the actual articles that are out there right now, talking about how Palantir stock slides after earnings, talking about this irrational valuation. You see here, Palantir sky high valuation is a problem. We start to see this. We've covered this over the years as we've talked about Palantir, is when Palantir does trade high, you see all these articles that talk about its valuation. We know it's at a high valuation. We know Wall Street. However, Palantir is continuing to prove the doubters wrong. And yes, we have speculation. We have a lot of volatility behind it, Palantir. But considering the first quarter revenue here in its commercial segment, talking about here, highlighting their declines. I don't know why they're talking about that, because this is one of the best historical earnings that we've seen in Palantir. So like we've seen with Alex Karp, what he's always said, I like this down here. You don't have to be happy to buy our shares. We're happy. Saying, watch us prove the doubters wrong. That is one thing I do like from Alex Karp. So great to see there. We'll continue to see what happens going into tomorrow's markets, because as we transition here with Palantir, leading into this post here from the Chinese embassy in the U.S., talking about based on full consideration of global expectations, China's interest in the appeal of the U.S. business community and consumers, saying China has decided to agree to engage with the U.S. side as China's lead on the U.S.-China economic and trade affairs. It says here the vice premier will hold talks with the U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent during his visit to Switzerland from May 9th to the 12th. Currently, we're seeing stock futures that are starting to rise. You can see the VU here is up to 516, up about $3 right now in the overnight hours, where the broader indexes actually closed was actually down in the red. S&P 500 down about 0.7%, NASDAQ nearly down about a full percent, as we were kind of awaiting with the uncertainty from the FOMC meeting and with the whole regards to what's going to be happening with the interest rates. We'll talk about that in just a moment. But here, is China going to be the first one coming down, taking a breath, and wanting to come to the table for negotiations? We could possibly see here from May 9th to 12th, that's just in a few days, some possible deals coming to the table. Not just rumors about negotiations. Wall Street is getting sick about hearing about those rumors. They want to see deals being made. Now that you see a response from the official Chinese embassy account, that is where things get interesting. And currently, like I said, stock futures are on the rise of the current and upcoming US-China trade talks. What they talk about here is just talking about basically what I just mentioned, talking about the Chinese government, counterparts this week in Switzerland. Right now, what we do know from the Fed regarding the interest rates tomorrow is that basically the futures and the market this whole week is already priced in that they're probably not going to be making any changes to the interest rate. The Fed funds future here, they're pricing in nearly a 97% likelihood that the central bank holds the borrowing rate steady. So we're not expecting rates to be cut at all. Even though we have seen that pressure from the administration, what we're more, interested in, what traders are more kind of keeping a watch list on, is looking to monitor Jerome Powell's post-decision press conference, talking about what's the actual path for rates for the future, what's the current state regarding the healthiness of the economy, and what are his outlooks. We've seen a little bit of bickering and some pressure between, Trump and Powell, saying termination cannot come fast enough, but saying that he has no intention on removing the Fed chief. So we do have some pressure that we've seen. That's what the media is showing. I don't know if that's true, regarding what they're actually reporting here in terms of some pressure between Powell and Trump themselves. But a lot of people will be interesting to see what does he have to say with the whole unsteadiness and the unpredictiveness of the trade, negotiation agenda and its actual schedule, the actual tax percentages. What is his opinion on the future of rate cuts? That is going to be a big indicator. If the market likes that, on top of the meeting with the Chinese vice premier here in the next few days, if both of those things are bullish and we see deals, that's where we could see re-entering and re-emergence of buying pressure back into the market. Could we flip here year to date? Broader indexes are still down. Could there be a flip back to the positive in the green? I think that is possible, depending on the things that we had just talked about. One stock that we did see an interesting reversal on was HIMS. Remember, their earnings had came out yesterday, kind of like how with Palantir. Now, what was interesting about HIMS is they had beat their expectations. However, they actually reduced their guidance for the next quarter, and that caused a sell-off in the after hours. That actually brought HIMS down to about 38, 39, even down to almost 37, I believe. Don't remember the exact numbers, but during market open, we saw a lot of buying back and a lot of pressure, pushing another 20% in terms of buy momentum on HIMS up back to $50. You can see HIMS here shrugs off those outlook worries and spikes this 18% right here. Looking in terms, I think investors are more happy on the long-term outlook, not just on the next quarter, but what are going to be the new collaborations, especially with the recent one that we've seen with Novo Nordisk right here on a telehealth platform. What are going to be the additional companies that utilize HIMS and their applications and their services to help sell different types of pharmaceuticals and even at a cheaper cost. So over time, I think the big thing that investors really liked was this statement right here saying that they expect wider collaboration across the industry, inclusive of those pharmaceutical players. That could be including preventative testing and world-class providers. Written in the statement here is saying that they believe that they will strengthen their ecosystem and position to curate a best-in-class offering that can reach tens of millions of people. That, I think, is what saved HIMS in terms of their longer term outlook, not just into the second quarter, which did show weaker guidance. If they brought that weaker guidance and now they have more of an opportunity to beat that, that could be bullish for the next quarter. A lot of interesting things happening across the board. Looking at some of the bigger stocks that we've been covering, nvda sitting basically consolidating on the day at about 113. You see Apple just holding right underneath that $200 level. Meta pulling back a little bit here today at 587. Nothing too crazy, popping back up in the after hours. So a lot of the Magnificent Seven stocks did not make crazy movements today, and we saw how the broader market kind of also did not. So we'll see what happens tomorrow. Expect some volatility. Grab your boots, strap them up. Here we go. Peace out.